Yashiro has revealed his true identity as one of the 4 heavenly kings of Orochi. With the sole aim of reviving their dark master, he joins forces with Shermie and Chris to carry out their mission. Unlike his usual carefree demeanor, this version of Yashiro is ruthless and direct, showing no hesitation in his words or actions. Wielding the raw power of the earth and overwhelming monstrous strength, he charges into battle with relentless intensity. Fully devoted to Orochi's will, he sees humanity as a stain on the earth that needs to be wiped out. He thrives on destruction and takes pleasure in overpowering anyone who dares to stand in his way. He is aggressive and no-nonsense, always focused on completing his mission with brutal efficiency.
Welcome back to another action figure review. Today we are looking at yet another one of my holy grails. A few videos ago we looked at younger Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho, and there I talked about how disappointing it was that he was too small, and he was one of my holy grails for so many years, and when I finally got him in my hand, the figure's too small, and this time it kind of went the other way. Yashiro Nanakase got to be my favorite character, or at least one of my favorite characters from all the fighting games of all time. And he came from King of Fighter series. He debuted in King of Fighter 97 as one of the members of the New Face team. Now, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, maybe you're not into video games, you're not into King of Fighter, then let me give you a very brief rundown of what or who Yashiro was. Even though we already gave a little intro at the very beginning, but that's more canon, and I imagine that if you were not into the storyline, you have no idea what that intro actually said. So basically, King of Fighter is this yearly competition where all the martial artists in the world come together and duke it out. That's the premise of the King of Fighter video games. Every year, there's like King of Fighter 95, King of Fighter 96, and then King of Fighter 97. Suddenly, a new team joins the fight. And this team was made out of 3 people. One of them, this gigantic, really big dude, that's Yashiro, and then a beautiful girl, Shermie, and then a little, like a teenage boy, Chris, and they were called the New Face Team, a newcomer team. No one knew what they were about. They just entered the competition and started kicking asses left, right, and center. And later on, it was revealed that the 3 of them were actually reincarnations of the heavenly kings of Orochi. Orochi is this ancient spirit that wanted to destroy humanity because Orochi decided that human were the uh, hurting Mother Earth, and Orochi's sole purpose was to defend Mother Earth. So it's kind of ironic because they mostly portray Orochi as a bad deity, but actually, when you think about its purpose, it's not really an evil deity. Its purpose is to protect Earth. So that's why it wants to destroy human beings because of how much human has uh, hurt Mother Earth. So Yashiro is one of the 4 heavenly kings of Orochi that wanted to bring back this deity. So this version of Yashiro we are looking at is when his Orochi power has awoken in the game. He doesn't really look that different from his human counterpart. He doesn't get bigger or buffer or anything. Most of the changes were like very minor. Like his skin got a little bit darker, and I believe he got red eyes here. And that's about it. Um, his fighting style totally changed. When we were first introduced to Yashiro in the game, he was a totally power striker. Like He's the kind of guy that didn't really have any style. He just walked forward and punch, and whoever gets in the way of his fist would die. That kind of guy. That's why I really like the character because he's so refreshing. There's no karate, there's no taekwondo, there's no fancy movement. He's just strong. He just like punch his way through anything. Um, but once he transformed into his Orochi um, self, once his Orochi power come out, then he got a lot more aggressive, and he went from being a striker to a grappler, which I think really, in some ways, parallel what happened in my own lifetime because I spent a long time as a striker in my martial art career. And it wasn't until 2010, 2011 that I started to get more grappling under my belt. And these days, a lot of people think of me as a really good grappler. Not too many people remember that I used to be a really, really good striker. So in some ways, Yashiro kind of parallel my own training and my martial art journey, and that is kind of why I like him, despite his character doesn't really have a heck a lot of depthness. It's kind of shallow actually. His whole characterization. Oh yes, he also has like a weird fascination and grudge against another character in King of Fighter, Iori, and because Iori's band supposedly outperformed Yashiro's band, and so Yashiro held a grudge. And if you look at his character introduction and story, he constantly talk about he's going to beat the living tar out of Iori if he run into him during the competition. So that's a cute little like side detail about the character. He's not only big and strong and good looking, he's also a guitar player. So anyway, uh, I said I was going to keep it short, and that wasn't really short, but yeah, that's. um, Now let's take a look at this character. I don't get Storm collectible figures very much because they are pretty pricey, and this guy is no exception. He's in the $100 range. Uh, Articulation wise, he's okay. I mean, he's not as good as I would like him to be, and mostly it's because of this jacket overlay on his chest. But we'll talk more about the problem with articulation in the next segment. For now, I want to kind of talk about his design. He's very faithful to his in-game look. He has like whitish silver hair, and he wears this red jacket. I believe it has white trim, although, here's a blind guy talking about color, so then take it with a grain of salt. And he's also got white pants, and these are really baggy pants with, and it has the pocket sculpted on the side. The sculpt work is pretty nice, although this guy kind of got no butt. Yeah. So yeah, sorry. No nice man butt there. Kind of flat in the back here. The cool thing about the sculpt is even though he is wearing a jacket, you can kind of make out the muscular detail in his arm. Like there's like a very muted hint of muscles through the sculpted fabric of the jacket. I really like that. I like when characters that are wearing clothes have that definition under the cloth, so you can see that there's a really strong build under there. And of course, the front of the jacket is open, so you can see his very, very sculpted abs and chest under there. Yeah, this is a very, very fit dude. Um, if we lift up the back of the jacket, you can also see some very nice sculpted details in the musculature in the back. Under the jacket, he's got like some kind of suspender holding up his pants, I guess. And on his feet, he got these like dress shoes. Are these dress shoes? I think so, right? So design wise, he is in some ways very simple. Right? There's no flashy capes or weird hair or uh, giant Wolverine claws or anything over the top. This is a guy who, honestly, you can imagine walking down the street. I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead wearing what he's wearing walking down the street, but I guess if you are tall and have a body like his, then you can wear whatever you want. Plus, who's going to argue with Yashiro anyway? He's just going to punch your head off. Now, the elephant in the room, of course, is the size of this character. Because while Storm Collectibles markets himself as 1/12 scale, this is definitely not 1/12 scale. This guy is almost 8 inches tall, and he is huge, right? And I know in the game he comes across as a pretty big dude, but you got to also take into consideration a lot of the people in the game are children and females and smaller male. So like Yashiro's official height is actually only 6'3", I think, which means if we put in perspective, he should only be about as tall as Captain America, maybe slightly taller, not this big. Right? You will see just how big he is when during the size comparison at the end of the video when I show you the little uh, fight scenario I made up with between him and Marvel Legend Colossus. So he's definitely not 1/12. He's barely able to be 110. Like even against 7-inch figures, he is still quite massive. But there again, because he's my holy grail for so long, and he is honestly one of those characters that it's a kind of bigger than life. So I don't mind too much that he's too big. And if you fudge him a little bit, if you get him to crouch a little bit, then he doesn't look too bad. Although he is still pretty massive overall. Now let's look at some posing photos, and then we'll come back for the next segment. Orochi Yashiro usually retails around 95 US dollar or more. But if you are watching this video right now and you like the figure you see, you can go to Big Bad Toy Store right now and get it there. It is 30% off at the time of this video's release. So you can get it for $73, which is a really good deal for this figure. That kind of pisses me off because I paid full price when I bought him. He comes with 4 head portrait, a whole lot of different hand options, like 8 pairs, 9 pairs of hands, I kinda lost count. A giant energy effect, like when he slams someone into the ground and you get this lava fire effect that spew out of the ground. It's really cool and comes in 2 pieces. Unfortunately, even though the jacket looks like it's removable, there's no point removing it because the sleeve, they don't come off. However, the necklace is removable, so be careful not to lose the necklace when you switch the heads. So Yashiro's power in the Orochi form is the power of the earth. So he can generate like earthquakes and cause lava to come out of the ground and really crazy stuff. Like this guy went from just punching your face in to be able to cause wide scale destruction and that kind of power. So that's what's going on with this effect that come with the figure. As we can see, it's quite a large piece. Let me stand him back, and then we'll look at the piece. This is actually in two pieces. You got a rocky base, and then a big fan of lava or flame, and you can see how big this is compared to the figure. Like this is almost the same size, or no, not quite, but close enough to the same size of the damn figure. Uh, that's how big that effect is. So there's a lot of plastic here that really make it feel like it's kind of worth your while. Of course, you also have to consider that something like this does take up a lot of room on the shelf, and for myself, I'm mostly going to reserve this for taking photos with. I'm not going to have this on the shelf with him, just so I can conserve some shelf space. Putting that aside, let's look at his articulation, which is honestly one of his weaker points. Storm Collectibles usually have really good articulation, but as we mostly know, when you have a character in suits or clothes, uh, and jacket and pants and stuff like that, it's a little bit hard to get articulations to work, especially if you still want them to look decent, right? So because he's got this jacket on and the sleeves are not removable, so the first thing that we'll notice is the shoulder on the jacket will limit the upward range of the arm. So when you bring his arm up, he has to go out like that, right? Because it's butting up against the shoulder of the jacket. Honestly, I'm not quite sure why they didn't just make that shoulder piece of the jacket part of the arm instead. Maybe just they don't want to break up the sculpt or something like that. He has the butterfly joint, but it's barely functional because his jacket is squishy and it's pushing his arm back out, so he can't really cross his arm. Unlike a lot of other Storm collectibles that can cross their arm no problem. And even though his elbows are double jointed, again, because of the sculpt of the jacket, you can't get a very decent band out of them. I mean, I guess that's okay. It's a little bit past 90 degree, but yeah, it is a bit limiting. And also, the sleeve of the jacket means that his hand will not flex back very far. So, if you need him to do any kind of grabbing, lifting pose, then that's going to be a factor to consider. He can bend back surprisingly far, actually. Um, and even when he's bent back this far, if you look at his abs, it doesn't really break up the line, so that's pretty good. However, there's not a lot of forward bend to it. I mean, I guess because he's a big dude, so maybe he's not supposed to be very flexible, but come on. If you look at him in game, he's actually quite acrobatic. And side to side, again, there's kind of barely anything, and the squishy upper torso and the jacket will kind of limit him a little bit. Although you are able to get a bit tilt out of it, you just have to really fight with it. Um, he can kick really wide. He can split, but there is some gappage in the groin there, unavoidable, I guess. You can also kick forward really high. Like this is a holy crap, that's a really high kick. Okay, but there again, when you do that, there's some gappage in the groin area. Yeah, so that's something to be considered. There's barely any side swivel. Yeah, there's basically no side swivel there. You can kind of move a little bit on the ball joint, but that's about it. Knees again double jointed, but because of the pants, you can barely get a 90 degree out of that. Okay, that's kind of sad. And the worst part, and this is a common problem for Storm Collectible. Because of the pant leg, there's barely any play in the ankle articulation, so his ankle can't go forward hardly at all, and even going back, like, yeah, this guy is not going to be doing any fancy kicks or anything. However, that does contribute to him standing really good. Like he is very easy to stand, so I guess that's a trade-off. By the way, the pen leg, interestingly enough, the pen leg is actually soft. Like it's more of that soft rubber material, so you can actually squish this pen leg. I'm not sure why they did it this way, but it's interesting to mention. Like a lot of Storm collectible figures, you'll notice that his legs are super long. The proportion is a bit odd when you look at how far up his foot goes when he reach his leg back like this. Like his foot goes almost to the top of his back. That that's ridiculous. Human legs are not supposed to be that long. Okay, so there's a bit of proportion issues. But as long as he's standing, then I think you won't really notice it. It's when you start to get him to squat and stuff like that, then you'll kind of notice, wow, this guy's legs are gigantic. Ooh, hey, I just said you stand really good. Don't prove me wrong. Um, the hands and the head pop on and off very easily, so there's no issue there whatsoever. Um, if this guy would pose better, then I would say he's right up there in the hand candy category. But honestly, he is not. He's a big lunk of a figure, and he poses like a big lunk of a figure. Speaking of big lumps, let's look at our size comparison to see who's going to win when Colossus fight Yashiro. Unlike most of my other reviews where I compare the figure against a bunch of other figures and just standing in a museum pose, this time we have Yashiro totally destroying and the Marvel Legend Colossus, just to give you an idea of how ridiculously large this character or this figure is. I mean, he is a large character in the game, but not this big. But you know what? I have waited for many years, ever since King of Fighter 97, to get a Yashiro action figure in my hand. So now that I finally have him, I'm happy. No matter if he's too big, too small, or otherwise. So if you're also a Yashiro fan, I hope you find some happiness with this figure, and just know that he is oversized. Thank you for checking out this review. We'll be back again soon for more goodies. And don't forget, if you like my content, please like and subscribe and share, and check out my blog at johnnytigerexperience.blogspot.com.